The Mike Rogers Show here with you today, and today is part 2 of the one, the only, the world famous, the most famous drummer in the world, Mr. Clem Burke from Blondie. Hey, Clem.
Hey, Mike. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Right.
So I want to talk about what you're doing and things that you have going on. But before that, I had mentioned to you in part 1 that you should be in the Guinness Book of World Records, but I think you really should have someone contact them because you are in so many bands now. So let me try to name them off: Blondie, the Tearaways, the Long Shadows, Tony Sales, Glenn Matlock, Bootleg Blondie, Small Figures, Tall Poppy Syndrome, Eurythmics, Fave 5, Empty Hearts, and so many others that I can't remember. So you are an official member of these bands, right?
Well, I'm no longer working with Eurythmics. I mean, that was in the 80s. I mean, as
but
I
you
mentioned,
were.
we wanted.
You were.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I met Annie and Dave back in the heyday of Blondie and worked on their first album with them called In the Garden. We went to Germany, and producer Connie Plank, who produced Devo, and Kraftwerk was the producer, and it was a real great experience. I learned a lot of things from Connie, also from Dave Stewart. And, we worked together on and off through the 80s. We did a major worldwide tour in 87 where we played in Berlin at the Reichstag right before the wall came down. And for instance, our opening acts were Tina Turner and Joe Cocker opening for Eurythmics. That's how big Eurythmics were at that time.
Yeah, well, the Eurythmics are big in Japan.
Yeah, right. We did some touring there as well, and they were just inducted into the Hall of Fame, which is great. And the Long Shadows is a band that I formed along with some friends of mine during the pandemic when things kind of eased up. We were able to play at a place called the Market Tavern outdoors on the patio. And so just doing like our favorite cover songs like British Invasion, The Who, The Kinks, Rolling Stones, and things like that, Bowie songs. And then that's an ongoing thing. I have a gig tomorrow night, on Friday night, when I'm playing with the Long Shadows after a long break because I've been on tour with Blondie most of the year.
Yeah.
And the Tearaways, as I mentioned, I'm in the Tearaways. We have a new album coming out. And the Empty Hearts are kind of on hold at the moment, but we recorded 2 albums. The last one came out on Steve Van Zant's label, Wicked Cool. And I've been known to play with Bootleg Blondie, the Blondie tribute band. And the one thing I did right before the pandemic is yet to come out is I recorded a new album with the band Echo and the Bunnymen.
Wow.
But the record has not yet come out. I don't know if it was due to the fact of the world closing down, but I spent a week or so recording drums with them, and the record's really great, and I'm sure it'll see the light of day at some point. And I also just recorded with the actress Anne Margaret on a record she has coming out, which she did a duet with a guy called Mickey Gilly, who just passed away. And I also just did a thing with Jerry Lee Lewis's sister, Linda Gale Lewis, for a Cramps tribute album. And
wait a minute.
I also did the band the Rock Cats from the 70s. I just did their record, played drums on their record. So yeah. But the Linda Gale Lewis Cramps tribute is going to be cool.
So is she's a Cramps fan?
I don't know if she's a Cramps fan, but she's a great singer, keyboard, piano player, and the Cramps have that kind of rockabilly vibe.
Yeah.
I forget the song we did off the top of my head now, but we had some fun with Linda Gale, and unfortunately, her brother just passed away too, Jerry Lee Lewis, and I worked with a lot of different. Being in Blondie enabled me to go on and work with a lot of other people. You probably know I toured and recorded with Nancy Sinatra for a number of years as well, which is, I think I initially met Nancy through Rodney as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I have heard from people who have played with you that you are the hardest hitting drummer.
Yeah, well, I can be that way if I need to be at that point in time. Yeah.
So you're playing in all these bands, and then, each band's playing, I don't know, 10, 15 songs or something like that. How do you memorize what you're supposed to play?
No, it's pretty much in there. Once I'm a big person. I'm big on rehearsals, and actually the band we forgot to mention was the Romantics, which I played with them for actually quite a long time. And I'm getting ready to do some gigs with their singer, Wally Palmer, coming up as well. And, when I, for instance, if I have a gig with the Romantics, just from our years of working together, it comes very naturally. I know the songs they're just kind of stored up there in my brain, I guess. But, I spend some time, rehearsing and going over the music. A lot of times I go on the treadmill and just listen to, if I'm working with an artist that already has the music recorded, I'll just be on a treadmill and listen to. I'm doing a gig with CJ Ramone on the January 28th here in LA for the 70th anniversary of Mosrite Guitars. CJ famously replaced Dee Dee Ramone in the Ramones. So we're going to do a dozen or so Ramones songs.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to brush up on the Ramones stuff a little bit. See, it's harder than it looks.
Is it?
The Ramones songs, yeah.
Yeah.
They're so simple that they're complicated.
I was very good friends with Joey, and when they came to Japan, he used to always invite me to their shows, and I used to sit in the what do you call it, the mixing board.
The board, yeah.
And one day they were playing, and they were playing at the Club Cheetah, I think it was, and they were doing a medley, and the engineers were all like excited or something, like, well, what's going on? And the one guy said, Joey has lost his place, because they were just playing a bunch of songs, boom, 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 and he didn't know where he was. But the kids didn't know; they didn't care. they didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, most 9 out of 10 times when there's a mistake made on stage, the audience has no idea.
Yeah.
So the thing is to just kind of persevere and just kind of get through it. And sometimes mistakes are the best things that happen in a recording or in a live performance,
Oh,
I mean, that was the thing at CBGB's. We were able to make our mistakes in public. We didn't have to be perfect. We were able to just kind of develop, which is kind of hard to do nowadays. With everyone having a camera and, things like that.
Oh, I see.
We were a lot more underground, in the early days.
Yeah. I think, Clem, you and I are about the same age.
Yeah, I just turned 67.
Okay, I just turned
a little older than
65.
You. Okay, yeah.
You look good.
Yeah, you look good too.
And
but they only tell people that. You don't say that to an 18-year-old.
No,
hey, you look good. What you really mean is I look good for my age.
Because
the hair is glued on pretty good.
I might cut this out. Most of the people who are my age, I see them and I meet them, especially Americans or British people. They look 10 years older than me.
Yeah, I mean, I always was into, which is what the Clem Burke drumming project was about. When Dr. Marcus Smith first came to me about it, when he was explaining it to me, I already understood that you have to be healthy to be able to carry on. And he was kind of making that analogy about sport and drumming being analogous, And I was always interested in taking care of myself. I didn't go too overboard with the demons that are involved in the music business in general, And I always kind of tried to be careful.
That's good.
I mean, I did my share, but I was always careful.
Yeah, in Japan, that's one of the reasons why, it was a small reason, but one of the reasons why I moved here. Because, those demons are, I can see how this will kill you. Keep doing it.
Well, the big mental health thing is very prevalent now. Much more awareness in the music business and in the entertainment business. I think obviously with people like Kurt Cobain and the Chris Cornell and different people like that, that's obviously it's something that needs to be understood and kind of there should be mental health involved, and people, you don't get a handbook, you don't get a manual with the success or with, the money.
No.
It's a lot more nowadays. Obviously on the internet, you can research anything, but, back in the day, the pitfalls and all that. So,
yeah.
But, yeah.
This is my next question. You don't have to answer it. You're going to still be playing when you're 80 years old, 90 years old, Clem?
That's a good question. I would think I might be. Well, actually, there's a guy called Earl Palmer who was the last 10 years of his life. He was a real role model for me. And he, along with Hal Blaine, were the two kind of preeminent session drummers in the 60s and late 50s, in LA. Earl was the drummer with Fats Domino and
wow.
Little Richard, and he also recorded with Eddie Cochran. He played on drums on River Deep Mountain High, and Hal Blaine, of course, was the other session drummer. Both very influential on me, kind of unbeknownst to me because they weren't really credited on those records at the time. They're, like Hal Blaine played on Beach Boys records, on Monkees records, all these hits that you were hearing on the radio, and they were not only influencing me, but they were influencing people like Ringo Starr and Charlie Watts. One time I went to see Earl Palmer just at a little club over by NBC in Burbank several years back, and in walked Charlie Watts and Jim Keltner, the famous session drummer, and just sat there and watched Earl. And Earl, the point is, Earl would play. He was in his late 70s, and he would play every Tuesday night at the little club, just set up on the floor, and he would kind of be the kind of MC. He would play the first set and bring in other musicians, and he was a real role model for me. He did it with dignity, and he definitely was a cool guy. So Earl Palmer has been a role model for me. But so I would think I would still probably be playing, as long as I don't have to carry my drums. I have to have someone else carry the drums for me. That's the drummer's dilemma. It's always, I used to take my drums on the subway with me when I lived in New Jersey. It was like crazy. Have the drums like all kind of piled on top of me, like getting on a subway to get into the city. Crazy.
Even I don't even know what it's called, the kick drum, the big.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would do it kind of piecemeal. I'd leave some pieces in the studio, but then I have to bring other things in and out.
Wow.
So, yeah. And then putting the drums in a New York cab was always kind of fun.
Wow.
I don't even know if you could do that nowadays, but back when they had the big checker cabs, there was plenty of room to put the drums in.
I think you can probably put your drums into a Japanese cab now, because they've got big cabs now, because
okay,
they have
like minivan cabs, kind
of. Like that, because they expected all these people to come for the Olympics, but
right, yeah,
didn't really.
That must have been crazy. Yeah, that was crazy, huh?
You're coming to Japan,
right?
Soon. You're coming to Japan
in February
with Tony Sales,
right?
How did that happen?
Well, there's a guy in London he was at the Institute of Contemporary Arts, the ICA, which is a government-funded arts council. And I worked with him before, and he also was instrumental in putting the first version of the band Holy Holy together, which was a David Bowie tribute band that Tony Visconti, the producer of David Bowie, and Woody Woodmansey, the drummer of Spiders from Mars, went on to continue Holy Holy for many years. So Tom approached me about working with Tony on this kind of, I don't want to call it a tribute, but to just go out and play the music of Iggy Pop, the Berlin era, the Idiot and Lust for Life albums.
Yeah.
And, I toured with Iggy, as I mentioned, with Blondie as we were the opening act for Iggy, but I also played in Iggy's band. We did a tour in the early 80s, along with the Bowie guitarist Carlos Alomar and a lot of, and actually Gary Valentine, who was my friend in Blondie, he was also in the band. And we did a 6-week tour where we opened for the Rolling Stones a couple of nights in Pontiac, Silverdome. And so I've worked with Iggy. I also recorded an album with him that Chris Stein produced in the 80s. And so I have a history with working with Iggy on and off, as Tony does, as he was the bass player, backup singing on songs like Lust for Life and, the Idiot album and the Lust for Life album. So Tom decided, the ironic thing is Tony's brother Hunt Sales was the drummer on that stuff. But for whatever reason, Hunt declined to do this tour. So I guess I was asked to take Hunt's place. Hunt's an amazing drummer. He's the drummer on that's Lust for Life, when you hear those big drums starting the song. So anyhow, based on my my friendship and my working relationship with Tom Wilcox, I decided that would be something that I would have the time to do. So it's been great working with Tony. Tony and I have gotten together in the studio. We recorded one track that's going to be used as a kind of to kind of let people know that what the band sounds like. And the Katie Puttrick is a woman that's going to be the singer.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not going to be any comparisons with Iggy. Obviously, it's going to be a completely different thing. And it's going to be a real exciting experiment and fun. And Kevin Armstrong, the guitarist, who was David Bowie's musical director at Live Aid, and was also in the band Tin Machine with David Bowie, which Tony was also in that band. And a few other musicians from London we're gonna come together, and we're gonna go and play these shows in Japan, and then also do a tour of the UK following the Japanese shows. So it's pretty exciting, actually. It's we're all kind of woodshedding, getting ready to get together to rehearse and put it all together.
Tony told me you guys haven't rehearsed together yet.
No, the only thing we recorded virtually. Tony and I in the studio in LA with Kevin and Katie and the rest of the band in London. We've recorded, but we haven't actually played together yet. So I've played with Tony and the band Checkered Past that I had as well. So
this recording, is this going to come out on a release?
Well, it's going to be released on the internet, I think, on December 15th. It's a song called Success from the Lust for Life album.
I got to tell Darren to send me that song.
That's going to be promoted to promote the tour. But I'm real excited about doing this. It's, as I mentioned, I toured with Iggy, and also I'm just a big fan. And funny enough, going full circle, on July 1st, 2023, which is Debbie Harry's birthday, we're going to be playing at Alexandria Palace in London.
Wow.
Bill with Iggy Pop. It's Iggy Pop, Blondie, and a band that they're going by the name of what are they calling them now? Generation Sex, because it's Billy Idol and Tony James from Generation X, and Steve Jones and Paul Cook from the Sex Pistols. And also, funny enough, Glenn Matlock is now the bass player in Blondie. Glenn Matlock being the original bass player of the Sex Pistols, who wrote Pretty Vacant and God Save the Queen and all. So we're all going to be there together on July 1st. And it is going to be pretty much for Blondie, going from 1977 being the opening act for Iggy, now kind of co-headlining this amazing show at Alexandria Palace on July 1st. Yeah, so it's going to be quite a day, I think. Quite a day. Just the three bands. It's going to be a fun day. And it's also, as I said, Debbie's birthday as well. So
July 1st is Debbie's birthday.
Yeah. So it's going to be pretty fun day.
Wow, that's cool. So
we're all excited about that.
So you're coming to Japan with Tony Fox Sales.
Right. It's what is it? The third week of February, I think.
Yeah. Monday, February 20th at Osaka Billboard Live.
Okay.
Thursday, February 23rd at Tokyo Billboard Live. I'll be there with my wife, who is a classically trained pianist.
Oh, wow.
When I first met her, she told me she hates rock and roll. I said, no. You work in radio, so you don't know what is cool rock and roll, She was used to hearing I don't know. I'm not a big fan of heavy rock. I like kind of roots rock and roll. So anyway, well, that's interesting. So it's going to be that's going to be fun, though. It'd be great to be back in Japan again after. So I said I was there a few years ago with the Empty Hearts. Blondie has yet to return. I mean, I think we've toured there maybe 3 times, and we played there with Eurythmics as well. Wow. So
not enough, though. I would like to definitely return with Blondie.
If you have time, I can take you guys around. I'm sure you got plenty of people to take you around. But
I like going to the Tower Records.
Oh yeah,
it's still there, right?
So actually, you and I have more friends. Like,
oh yeah, I'm sure we have a bunch of mutual friends.
Glenn Matlock. I know him well. I made one of his videos once.
Oh, okay.
Anyhow, so I'm just speechless. This is so great. I'm so looking forward to seeing you guys. Every interview in Japan, and I'm serious, they do this every time, and they always ask this question. So I'm sure you're going to get some other interviews, and they're going to ask you this. Clem, do you have any last words for your Japanese audience?
Yes, I wish my Japanese audience peace and love and all good things in life.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Mike.
Yay!
Thanks,
Clem
everyone.
Burke from Blondie. Thanks so much for being on the show. If you like this show, go down here, click like, and click subscribe. And wait a minute, Clem, you have a Facebook page, but not your page. It's a Facebook.
Yeah, there's a Clem Burke fan page. I'm actually on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me.
Okay.
Yeah, I've actually never really done Facebook myself.
It's
but there is a Clem Burke fan page on Facebook. But if people want to see what's going on with me or with the various artists that I work with, the best thing is to contact through Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks
who knows what's going to happen now with Twitter, but right now I'm still on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, I try not to even look at the news.
Right.
I just want to do rock and roll.
All right. Rock and roll.
Okay.
Okay, Mike.
Thanks, Clem. I'll talk to you later, okay?
All right. See you.
See you
nice
later.
To meet
Bye.
you. See you.
Nice
Bye.
to meet you.
Not to see you again.
Meet you again. See you later.
Bye. Bye. Bye, Japan.